Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 21. Selling the fruit of spiritual power, Mizu condemnation. The first place Zhao Long, the symbiote should be a dragon type, and his points exceeded 10,000, reaching a high score of 15,000. This achievement has broken the record for 300 years. The second Avril, like me, didn't start the live broadcast, but the points were second only to the first, with more than 14,000 points. The third Wina, the symbiote is unknown, the ability to awaken is not a combat system, but the points can still break through 10,000, and he is also a powerful person. Fourth place, Yian, who returned home, was lying on the bed, checking the information on the standings. His smart dagger turned into a bracelet and was worn on Yian's wrist. This thing was supposed to be recycled directly and automatically. But Yian rented it, so it still belongs to Yian now. It's just that if you leave the training ground and rent it, there will be no weapon form. This year, there are so many geniuses. Until the 30th place, the points will be compared to the first place in previous years. There are already several of the mythical level symbiotes that exploded at this time. And the top 100 is almost the same as last year's top 10. Yian exclaimed. He also watched a lot of live broadcasts of the players on the standings. It has to be said that it is purely a comparison of combat power. He is completely inferior to these people. Of course this refers to head-on combat. If the site is forest, grass and wide enough. With these people going together, Yian has the confidence to slowly grind them to death. Didi, you have received a new message. At this moment, the smart bracelet reminded. Yian also clicked on the message to start viewing. Hello student 9527. Your tutor Lu Ruhua has recommended that you take the examination of Tiangong Academy and passed. Please go to Tiangong Academy on time to take the assessment in 3 days. Overtime will be regarded as automatic abandonment. The following is the basic information of Tiangong College. Tiangong Academy is located in the Tiangong Galaxy in the M78 Nebula of the Third Universe. It has been more than 5,000 years since its establishment, and the first dean is. Nowadays, if you want to enter Tiangong Academy, you need to pass the assessment from Tiangong Academy. The average death rate in the assessment has been as high as 50% in the past 100 years. Look at the information about Tiangong Academy. Yian called out to the good guy in his heart. Let's not complain about the M78 Nebula first. Just this assessment of the mortality rate is a bit outrageous. The average is close to half, which is no worse than joining the Free Army to fight on the endless battlefield. Just then, Yian's cell phone rang. Yian looked at the caller information. Sure enough, Lu Ruhua. After all, except for her, almost no one called him. Have you received the assessment invitation from Tiangong Academy? After connecting the phone, Lu Ruhua asked directly. I received it. I also read the basic information. Mr. Lu, honestly speaking, isn't this death rate a bit outrageous? Yian complained. The death rate is indeed high, but the death rate of the Free Army is no lower than this. And the Free Army is facing death at any moment. But in Tiangong Academy, after you pass the assessment, you can enjoy a very rich resource treatment. With these rich resources, even if you are an ordinary person, you can turn you into a genius in the eyes of outsiders. This is something you can't have when you join the Free Army. Lu Ruhua explained. As soon as he heard that the resources were abundant, Yian was instantly refreshed. What he lacks most now is cultivation resources. To be honest, he had no idea how many resources he could plunder when he joined the Free Army. After all, the army is fighting, and many times he cannot afford to spend time spreading his spores. Of course, letting you join the academy is more out of my personal selfishness. For some reason, I came to Zuxing to be a teacher. The purpose is to select a student to participate in the assessment of Tiangong Academy. So as long as you can pass the assessment, my mission can be considered completed, and you don't need to stay in Zuxing anymore. Lu Ruhua said truthfully. I see, teacher, don't worry, I will participate in this assessment. As soon as I heard about Lu Ruhua, Yian agreed without thinking. Lu Ruhua takes care of herself. He was also worried that he didn't know how to repay. This academy is rich in resources, and if you can join, you can repay your teacher. Why not do it? Hear Yian's answer. Lu Ruhua on the other end of the phone also showed a relieved look. She could hear that the reason why Yian agreed so simply was mainly to repay her care. You don't have to think about my problem. After all, the casualty rate in this assessment is too high. Lu Ruhua reminded. Don't worry, teacher, I have no choice if I plan to join the Free Army. If I can get into a good university, I naturally prefer the university. Yian replied immediately. Well, that's how things are settled. I will contact you again before the assessment. The teacher won't bother you now. Lu Ruhua was slightly moved. Yian nodded. Then the two sides hung up the phone. The assessment will start 3 days later. Now that I return to the living planet, I can't spread spores to absorb spiritual power. Although a lot of crystal nuclei have been accumulated, there are still some spiritual fruits. But it doesn't give me any improvement. It's better to wait until the assessment starts, and then spread the spores to increase the power. Yian muttered. Then, through the bracelet, the exclusive trading market for the extraordinary was opened. Then a part of the crystal nucleus and the spiritual fruit are hung on the market to be packaged and traded together. Since you are not ready to increase your strength, then it's no use keeping so many things. It just so happened that he was very poor, so he might as well sell some to replenish his bank card. Didi, you have a new message. It didn't take long for things to be hung in the store. A customer buyer sent a message. Hello, I am interested in your spiritual fruit. But for this kind of fruit, the mall has no transaction records and no information records. I'm not sure the effect is as delicious as you say. Asked a buyer named Ms. Yu. Good to eat. Yian was stunned. Shouldn't the point be how much spiritual power it contains? If you don't believe it, we can trade a low-level black iron core level spiritual fruit first. The price is based on the low-level crystal core price of black iron, which is 1,000 federal coins. If you are satisfied, we will continue the transaction. If you are dissatisfied, and you won't lose much, you can report me. Yian thought for a while and replied. No matter what her focus is, she can sell it to Yian. And speaking of deliciousness, his spiritual fruit tastes really top-notch. I believe the other party will be satisfied. It is good. The other party also responded immediately. But Yian rummaged through the storage space and found that there was no black iron level spiritual fruit. The spiritual power fruits he picked and stored at that time belonged to the middle level bronze. However, there is no corresponding spiritual fruit, which is not difficult for Yian. Because the formation of spiritual power fruit is very simple, it is born by swallowing spiritual power. So Yian spawned a white mycelium directly on his palm. Infuse the mycelium with spiritual power, and after the spiritual power is absorbed by the mycelium, a black iron grade spiritual power fruit quickly grows. The process before and after is only 10 seconds. If Yian is willing, this speed can be accelerated a lot. Didi, the item has been confirmed, do you want to start trading? The smart bracelet scanned Yian's spiritual fruit and reminded. Start trading, Yian replied. In the next second, the smart bracelet radiated light again, quickly, dissolving, the fruit of spiritual power. Didi, the upload to Zhoudian Xingdu online mall was successful, waiting for the buyer to pay. Didi, the buyer's payment is successful. After deducting 5% of the handling fee, you get 950 federal coins. The smart bracelet reminded. Yian though knows to cover all survival stars. The man-made network named Zhoudian Xingdu is powerful. But seeing it with my own eyes is the first time. There is no need to send express delivery for buying and selling items, just send it directly. This is much better than the internet in the previous life. Yian sighed, and then Ms. Yu, the buyer, sent a new message. Good, very good. This taste is simply invincible. And the spiritual power content is sufficient. How many fruits do you have? I want them all. Price is not a problem, as long as it's not too outrageous. Although I can't see each other's expressions. But Yian can imagine how happy Ms. Yu looked when she sent the message. It's just that the other party took the initiative to raise the price to buy it. I'm afraid this person has a problem with his brain. Yian smiled slightly at this, and replied unhurriedly. I don't have much of this spiritual fruit in my hands. And I'm packaged for sale. If you want, just buy the goods I'm hanging directly. You have also seen the price, absolutely innocent. After Yian sent the message, Ms. Yu on the opposite side of the network was silent for a while and said. Well, your price is really okay. Although I can't use those crystal cores, if you buy them together, you won't lose anything. Ms. Yu just finished speaking. Yian received the information about her purchase. After deducting the handling fee, Yian directly received 950,000 federal coins this time. Look at the money in your card. Yian pondered for a while, and directly put all his remaining spiritual power fruits on the mall. But the price is 50% more expensive than before. Ms. Yu, what do you mean? Item just launched. Ms. Yu couldn't help but send a message. Just ask if you want it. Yian was too lazy to explain and replied directly. Want. Ms. Moon replied. At the same time, place an order and buy all the spiritual fruits. Yian made more than 900,000 again. At the same price, I bought the same amount of spiritual fruit, but I lost a bunch of crystal cores. You are a profiteer. Then Ms. Yu accused angrily. Oh, will you buy it next time? Purchase. Quote. Asterisk. Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 22. Chapter 22. Ms. Yu and Hash039's cooperation, Yian and Hash039's request. The transaction is complete. Yian looked at the balance of the card and was not only a little sighed. It was the first time in my life that I had so much money. And it was the first time I felt that making money was so easy. Running out of money. It is enough to produce some spiritual fruit for sale. Of course all this presupposes. It is based on one's own ability. Just at the silver level, I can live much more comfortably than ordinary people. If it's gold, platinum, or even God realm, what kind of scenery can I experience and what kind of life can I live? Yian not only showed a look of anticipation. He believed that one day he would reach that point sooner or later. Not just because of powerful symbiotes and systems. It's because he believes he can do it. With this mentality, Yian quickly fell asleep in a daze. Go back half a month to the present. Don't go through too much. Although in the place of experience, he was arguably the safest one. But if he really wants to sleep, he is also subconsciously vigilant. Otherwise, a negligence accident will take his own life into it. This is also a newcomer's experience, and it can obviously be teleported away at any time. But there are still 10% of the people who died in the place of experience. Most of the time, it's not trying to be brave and refusing to leave. But there is no chance to leave immediately. So now back home, Yian's spirit is completely relaxed. Drip, drip, drip. However, the good dream has not yet begun. Yian was woken up by the sound of the smart bracelet. He frowned and glanced at it, and found that the previous customer, Ms. Yu, had been sending messages. Are you there? Don't be silent. I have something for you. How about we talk about a business? Hey, what about people? Quote. There is a lot of news like this. Yian was completely speechless. But considering this is a big client, still patiently replied. Sleep, what's the matter? You can answer. I came to you to discuss a business. Have your spiritual fruit been cultivated on a large scale? I can buy it at the price we traded before. I'll buy as many as I have. Ms. Moon replied. I haven't cultivated. But cooperation can be considered. I will produce the seeds, and you will cultivate and sell them by yourself. I want half of the profit sharing. Yian thought for a while and replied. I thought that the other party would reply to my message immediately. But I didn't expect that this month. The lady was silent for a while before speaking. 50% is too much, at most 30%. I can have a relationship with the Tianxing group in this business. I can imagine how much the benefits will be at that time. 30% is not too small. After all, if they cooperate with Tianxing group, they have to pay a lot of money. Can you get in touch with the Tianxing group? Look at Ms. Yu's reply. Yian couldn't help but be surprised. Tianxing group is one of Zuxing's largest groups. If you can get a relationship, don't say 3%. Even if it is 10% of the profit, no, even if it is 1%, he will not object. After all, the business of Tianxing Group covers the entire Zuxing, and it also involves dozens of other cultivation stars. Under this body mass, you can eat soup and become fat. Of course, if you don't believe us, we can sign the contract first, and then you give me the seeds. Ms. Yu said confidently. Also, however, 30% is acceptable to me, but I have an additional request. I need something divine. You have to help me get it. Since you can have a relationship with the Tianxing group, this is not a problem, right? Yian made his own request. What are you thinking? To cooperate with the Tianxing group, it is very good that you can account for 3 achievements. Of course it's not impossible to ask for extras, but your divine item is a bit too much. Ms. Yu couldn't help but accuse. It's not too much, because what I'm selling you is the spiritual fruit seeds of the middle stage of bronze. But as long as you meet my requirements, I will provide you with silver-level spiritual fruit seeds. And the gene of this seed is also locked by me, only I can continue to develop it. Not long after, I can get the gold-level seeds too. The same platinum, diamond, and even the seeds of the king-level spiritual fruit, as long as you give me time, I can do it. And the point is that every time the level is improved, the taste will also improve. You can think about how delicious the king-level spiritual fruit is. Yian said confidently, I don't believe it, unless you give me the silver-level spiritual power fruit. Ms. Yu continued to be silent for a while before replying. Can. Yian replied immediately. Then he extracted his own spiritual power and gave birth to a silver-level spiritual fruit. Feeling that there is less than 10% of the spiritual power left in the body, Yian quickly swallowed a few crystal cores to restore his spiritual power. Finally, the silver-level spiritual power fruit was uploaded to the commodity bar. It takes money, will you do business? And one sells for 200,000. The other side, look at the product information that Yian sent in the past. Ms. Yu began to complain. She wasn't short of money, it was Yian's behavior that made her a little unhappy. And I think 200,000 is a bit expensive. She has money, but that doesn't mean she wants to be taken advantage of. However, for the business, I honestly paid 200,000 federal dollars. On Yian's side, complaining about Ms. Yu. Also don't care. Instead, wait quietly, he has enough confidence in his spiritual fruit. Sure enough, it didn't take long for Ms. Yu to start the news bombing again. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Hey, are you still there? You lost 200,000 yuan for this fruit of spiritual power. If you want me to say at least 500,000. Really delicious. It's the first time I've eaten something so wonderful. Ms. Yu said excitedly. In her eyes, the spiritual power content doesn't matter at all. Just the taste completely conquered her. And the silver-level spiritual fruit is so wonderful. King level, I'm afraid that after eating it myself, the taste can directly soar. Since you said it's worth 500,000, then please supply me with the remaining 300,000. Yian replied subconsciously. Quote. Ms. Yu was speechless for a while. Now she really wants to follow the internet and slap Yian in the face. For the first time, she felt that people could see money so clearly, and it was well-founded. Anyway, you proved that you didn't lie. I agree to your request. Next, I will provide you with divine items, and you must send me the seeds as soon as you get a breakthrough in your research. Ms. Yu changed the subject and said seriously. Okay, you can make a contract and clearly write down the needs of both of us. Yian replied. It's simple, this is my contract based on federal standard contract law. You see if there is no problem and sign it. Ms. Yu immediately came up with a contract and sent it to Yian. It looks like it's ready. Yian glanced at the contract and directly asked the system to speculate whether there was a problem. Like text traps or something. After the identification was no problem, he signed the contract with his own online name, Yanzu. Because of Zhou network, everyone can only have one account. Therefore, using an online account to sign a contract, the federal government recognizes its legal benefits. And doing so would conceal his true identity. Unless there is a big problem with the cooperation, the other party will report him. And the Federation will reveal Yian's identity to the other party only after the Federation has confirmed that there is indeed a problem. After signing the contract, Yian sent the contract to the other party along with the spores that set the growth target. After doing all this, Yian didn't care about Ms. Yu's reply. Instead, he yawned, turned on the Do Not Disturb mode of the smart bracelet, and went to sleep with his eyes closed. Asterisk. Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 23. Chapter 23. Divine Item, Federal Investigator. Noon the next day. Yian woke up slowly. This time he slept refreshed and very comfortable. After a brief wash, Yian turned on the smart bracelet to check the news. After signing the contract yesterday, that month, the lady symbolically replied a few messages and never spoke again. I guess he knew he was sleeping. But this morning, Ms. Yu sent Yian another message. At the same time, there is a signed paper contract and a high-level VIP card of Tianxing Group to be received. And a special black stone. After Yian received something, put away the contract and VIP card, then picked up the stone and looked at it. Yin evil, gloomy, if I hadn't adapted to the special nature of divinity. I'm afraid that now I have begun to be polluted by this special divinity. Yian muttered, feel the slow absorption speed of your own symbiote. Yian chose to go back to the bed, sat down with a posture of cultivation, and began to speed up the absorption of divinity. 2 days later, Yian opened his eyes again and moved his silent body. And the stone he has been holding in his hand has lost its divinity at this moment. There seems to be no other features other than rigidity. After all, it is an item that carries divinity, so keep it for now. Yian looked at the stone, and then threw it into the storage space. At this moment, the system prompt sounded. Ding, congratulations to the host for absorbing the new divinity. The current God sequence awakening degree, 5,300 million. Ding, because the host has absorbed the new divinity, the symbiote has grown to a certain extent, so it has awakened a new ability, Terrifying Toxin. Terrorist Toxin. A special toxin is produced. After ingesting it, you can't help but think of the most terrifying things in your heart, and even fall into fear and can't extricate yourself, and you will die mentally. Close black lens bracket. ... The new ability of the toxin sequence looks good. And because of the spiritual properties of spores, the upper limit of this ability's attack on the spirit is also very high. It can even be mentally dead. Yian commented with satisfaction. As for the ability to awaken new abilities, it was completely within his expectations. After all, this is the new divinity. Your own symbiote absorbs a certain level of spiritual power to awaken the ability. Not to mention this thing. 3 days have passed, and I don't know if there is any news from Ms. Yu. Yian turned on the smart bracelet and started checking messages. In the past 3 days, Ms. Yu did send him a few messages. And they are all lamenting the power of the fruit of spiritual power. I thought it would take several days to cultivate and plant, but I didn't expect to fill up the plantation in minutes. I thought it would take a long time to bear fruit, but with sufficient spiritual energy, a new fruit can ripen in a few seconds. With this growth rate and output, Ms. Yu started trying to sell goods to make money the next day. It was full of orders that night, so much so that the plantation had to be expanded. So Ms. Yu was cruel and directly rented a small spiritual energy planet to plant. As a result, on the 3rd day, the rhizomes of the spiritual fruit filled the entire planet, and the output was horrendous. So much so that the spiritual power of the entire planet began to shrink rapidly. Therefore, she had to eradicate part of it, and at the same time get a void spiritual vein to maintain the balance of the planet's spiritual energy. All in all, Yian's spiritual fruit is very profitable. Special money making. But Yian saw another point. That is the business of spiritual power fruit, although it is said that there is also a cooperation with Tianxing Group. But the specific matters are resolved by the lady this month. That is to say, this month, the lady can not only cooperate with Tianxing Group, dominate even when collaborating. Therefore, it can be seen that this month's lady is a more powerful character than he imagined. Soon, after reading Ms. Yu's message, Yian was too lazy to reply. Anyway, after the contract is signed, he can just wait to collect the money. And I didn't eat for 3 days. He was also starving. It just so happens that I have money in my hand, so it's business to eat a good meal quickly. Boom bang bang. Just when Yian was thinking about something good to eat, there was a knock on the door. Who? Yian opened the door with doubts. 2 strangers were found standing at the door. Student Yian, we're here for an interview. Because the place of experience where you are, was attacked by the spiritual bishops, so we want to ask you about the situation. 2 strangers indicated their intentions. At the same time, there was an accident with their own documents, proving that they were federal investigators. Oh, I see. At that time Yian made up a bunch of things. Said his identity is one of the more than 80 people. Anyway, there are so many chaotic people, no one can remember who, so don't worry about revealing anything. The final result must be lucky to hide in the mushroom tunnel to escape. During the whole process, his face was not blushing or his heart was beating, only hatred for the spiritualists. Seeing Yi An's performance, the two investigators looked at each other and gave up continuing the investigation. It seemed that Yi An was just one of the victims. What he said was basically the same as the others. So there is nothing to investigate. We understand the general situation. Regarding this incident, we hope that you will try your best not to spread nonsense everywhere, so as not to cause unnecessary panic. Of course you were attacked by the spiritualists. It was the Federation's fault. So I hope you can be satisfied with this compensation. One of them took out a small square box from the storage space and handed it to Yi An. Don't worry, I will never talk nonsense. Yi An took the box, opened it and glanced at it, and immediately assured it in a serious manner. The two looked at each other, nodded and chose to leave. After the two left, Yi An showed a look of disgust. 10,000 federal coins, a high-grade black iron core, and a bottle of evolution potion that is visible to the naked eye and full of impurities. Before that, he might be happy for a while. Now, that's it, you can't even pick it up when you throw it on the ground. Of course, now that he has it in his hands, he naturally won't throw it away. Didi, your rental time still has 24 hours to expire. Just when Yi An put things into the storage space of the smart bracelet. The smart bracelet suddenly pops up a prompt. This thing is very useful, just buy it. After Yi An put the things in, he thought about it and said. But the price of 500,000 is quite painful to think about. But considering that he already has a big business, he will not be short of money in the future. Yi An still chose to buy it. Didi, you have obtained all the permissions of this smart bracelet. The weapon system is re-liberated, the storage space is completely liberated, and the current capacity is 20 cubic meters. Quote. Asterisk. Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 24. Chapter 24. Invite Lu Ruhua to dinner and ask about martial arts. Gollum. The matter is settled. Yi An's stomach also made a sound of resistance. Touching his hungry stomach, Yi An also chose to go out to eat right away. As a result, as soon as he came to the street, he met an acquaintance. Mr. Liu, what a coincidence. Yi An greeted warmly. What a coincidence, I came here specifically to find you. After all, there will be an assessment tomorrow, and I have to tell you something in advance. Also, this is your assessment ID card, don't lose it. Lu Ruhua handed Yi An a card with complex lines and said. Okay. Yi An took the card and put it directly into the storage space of the smart bracelet. Lu Ruhua also glanced at Yi An unexpectedly. She couldn't be more clear about Yi An's family background. Now you have purchased a smart bracelet for newcomers to experience. It seems that as a student, he has a lot of income when he is a newcomer. In the future, I finally don't have to worry about whether he has eaten breakfast or not. By the way, teacher, I'm just about to eat, do you want to join us? Yi An then invited. He also wanted to invite this teacher to dinner for a long time. This time is just an opportunity. Okay. Lu Ruhua smiled and agreed. She knew about Yi An's situation, and she would never have agreed before. Or promised to pay for it yourself. But now, you don't have to think so much. Can spend 500,000 to buy a bracelet, definitely not bad for food. In this way, the two teachers and students came to a big hotel talking and laughing all the way. Yi An also deliberately chose the most luxurious one nearby. And chose a deluxe room. It is hard to be rich and naturally lavish. The number of places for this assessment has also been completely determined. 325 people in total. The top 10 of the newcomer experience points list are all in, and most of the top 100 also chose to be assessed. The rest of the people are either chosen by the academy themselves, or are recommended to participate like you. This is the information of other students, I have collected as much as possible. Because the content of the assessment is different every year, sometimes it is cooperation, and sometimes it is competition with each other. So this information may be of some help to you. As soon as he sat down, Lu Ruhua explained the situation directly. At the same time, a virtual window was activated, and with a swipe of the finger, the window came to Yi An. I probably understand. But what's the situation with this second place, teacher, do you know so much? After Yian watched it for a few minutes, he chose to close the page. At the same time, he asked curiously. Because the second place did not have a live broadcast, and it was still a single action. The information about her on the internet is particularly scattered, and even the symbiote and ability are not clear. But this information of my teacher. Not only did the symbiote and ability investigate clearly. Even personality, hobbies, height and weight measurements, are written very carefully. It was almost enough to write out the detailed information of the 18th generation of the ancestors. Yian felt a little surprised. A student of an acquaintance, although she is the second, but she is recommended to enter, just like you. Lu Ruhua smiled and said. Not much explanation. Acquaintance. Yian was a little puzzled. No matter how familiar the relationship is, it shouldn't be written in such detail. Basically, the ability to function, the symbiote type is almost enough. So detailed, I'm afraid there is no hatred. Think back to the photos recorded in the document just now. Yian secretly remembered. This little beauty from the Western Federation, her recommender has a grudge against her teacher. So meet in the future. Just take good care of it. I'll pass the information to you, you can take a look at it when you go back. But remember, come to the school gate tomorrow at noon, and I will take you to the assessment. Lu Ruhua opened the data window again. But Yian shook his head slightly and refused. There's no need for the teacher, the top 10. Or, I just look at the top 5 and that's enough. Yian said confidently, not to mention the symbiotic gap. Just the level, he is enough to crush most people. Even in order to make the other party feel that they are not inflated. He also deliberately referred to the top 3 as the top 5. This. You just know what you have in mind. Lu Ruhua looked at Yian, but in the end she didn't force anything. She felt that it was Yian's low-key style. Shouldn't be talking big. Hope not. By the way, teacher, do you have any martial arts that are suitable for my level? My awakened ability is not suitable for frontal combat. I plan to practice martial arts to make up for my shortcomings. Yian asked. Martial skills. Why didn't you tell me earlier? You will have to embark on the assessment process tomorrow. It's too late to practice now. Lu Ruhua gave Yian a reproachful look and said. Hey, teacher, don't worry, it's definitely too late. Yian said with a smile. In fact, he doesn't really need martial arts. It's just that he needs to find a way to cover up the ability of his symbiote. This assessment will be watched by many people throughout. Therefore, I want to get enough benefits without exposing my true situation. All he could think of was martial arts. And there is a deduction system. He wants to practice martial arts, it's not too simple. When other people cultivate and explore slowly, they only need to use the system to deduce it once. You can directly master the know-how of martial arts. Okay, then what kind of martial skill do you need? What weapon are you going to use? Lu Ruhua finally chose to compromise. After all, she also knew that Yian participated in this assessment for her. This small requirement is naturally fulfilled. It's fine, I don't choose. You can use it, Yian said very casually. You, forget it, choose for yourself. A total of 36 martial arts, which will always allow you to use the diamond level. Lu Ruhua almost didn't know what to say. I always felt that Yian was too confident. Still, she opened a window, in the form of a free transaction. All 36 martial arts were traded to Yian. Thank you, teacher. I saw so many martial arts. Yian thanked him happily. There's no need to thank me, it's just useless martial arts. But there is one thing I have to remind you. Although the martial arts are powerful, they are limited to the early stage, and that's all. As an extraordinary person, you should still focus on the symbiote, and study and cultivate the ability of the symbiote more. As for the exercises, after you learn them, you can temporarily make up for the shortcomings. If you really want to completely solve the shortcomings of the symbiote and ability, you have to work hard on the symbiote. Lu Ruhua reminded with a serious face. At this moment, the temperament of being a teacher is also revealed. Don't worry, teacher, I mainly deal with this assessment. Yian explained with a smile. You're like this, I don't even know whether to praise you for being sensible or say you're arrogant. From now on, you will only be able to practice in one day. I really don't know where your self-confidence comes from. Forget it, maybe I'm too narrow-minded. Lu Ruhua said helplessly. Yian just smiled and said nothing. After all, he successfully cultivated in one day. Without a system, he really couldn't do it himself. So there is no need to argue with the rationale. Next, there is a time when this beautiful teacher is shocked. Asterisk. Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 25. Chapter 25. Practicing martial arts, one punch kills. After eating and saying goodbye to Lu Ruhua, Yian didn't choose to go home. Instead, he came to a martial arts gym nearby. After all, you have to practice martial arts. The small place in his house is naturally not suitable. And there are no dummies for testing. Ha, Yian, you are here too. Just entered the gate of the martial arts hall. One person came forward to say hello. Yian blinked and thought for a while before realizing that it was his classmate. Because he doesn't usually get along with his classmates. And just after crossing over, he didn't focus on these classmates. As a result, I didn't even remember who it was for the first time. Well, I'm here to practice martial arts. Yian nodded and replied. Then he looked at the front desk on the side and said, open a venue and bring 3 high-level dummies by the way. Okay, sir, wait a minute. The waiter at the front desk nodded and started to operate. You didn't come to the party. The classmate saw Yian's behavior. Suddenly surprised. What party? Yian asked suspiciously. Class party. This time, more than 1/3 of our class has become extraordinary. In addition to the end of high school, everyone will have to go their separate ways. So naturally we have to get together. Quote. Is it possible that no one informed you? The student said in surprise. Although Yian is a little transparent in the class, no one usually communicates with him. But he didn't expect that no one would notify Yian of such an important gathering. No one. Yian shook his head and said, Sir, this is your zone card. You have 3 hours of use, and the training dummy will be sent to you later. Then the receptionist at the front desk said. Yian nodded and paid. Take the card and get ready to leave. Wait, classmate Yian, aren't you going to the party together? The other party looked at Yian and spoke again. No, not interested. Yian shook his head and turned to leave. He hadn't been notified of the class meeting, how could he still choose to attend? And the location chosen for the class meeting is in the martial arts hall. This is obviously just someone who wants to show off in the martial arts hall. Even if he was invited, he wouldn't bother to attend such a low-level party. Watching Yian leave, the male classmate felt a little regretful, and then suddenly realized something. Where did Yian get the money to rent the venue for the martial arts gym, and also ordered 3 high-end training dummies? This cost at least hundreds of thousands. Although Yian usually doesn't communicate with the people in the class. But everyone knows that Yian is notoriously poor. It's probably when the newcomers were practicing, they were lucky and made a small fortune. I am also an extraordinary person. I work hard to kill 2 monsters, and I can sell a lot of money for the crystal core. If you encounter Ling Sao Lingzi, it will cost tens of millions. The other party murmured. After that, I didn't think about it anymore, but concentrated on waiting for the arrival of other students. After all, it doesn't matter what Yian gives him. It's useless to think too much. Hello sir, this is your training ground. The 3 advanced training dummies you want will be delivered right away. Our training dummy has the special ability to eliminate inertia, so it can stop instantly. So you can train with confidence, and you won't be accidentally injured by the dummy. A waiter led Yi into an area. Yian looked around, and immediately called out to the good guy in his heart. Just met a classmate. Next to the training ground, the whole class is basically there. What a coincidence. But Yian didn't bother to greet them either. Instead, go straight to the field. Taking advantage of the time before the training dummy was delivered, he began to practice martial arts. Ding, the host's arm should be raised another centimeter. Ding, the burst of spiritual power at this time can be appropriately weakened by 10%. Ding, under the guidance and training of the system. Yian practiced martial arts in the most perfect way. The martial art he chose to practice was called Bajikwan. It is a simple and crude martial art. A total of 8 punches can be thrown, and the power of each punch is much higher than the last time. After 8 times of stacking, ordinary silver-level extraordinary people can only punch 1 more time. Because of the superimposed power at this time, the load on the body is particularly serious. Continuing to punch forcibly will only cause serious damage to the musculoskeletal body. Of course Ian didn't have this concern. His symbiotic ability can quickly repair muscle damage. As long as he has enough spiritual power, he only needs to rest for a while before he can continue to use Bajikwan. Bang. 1 punch, 2 punches. Every swipe is accompanied by bursts of breaking wind. Until the last punch is thrown. A sound like an explosion erupted directly. In an instant, the training staff in the surrounding fields all looked at Ian subconsciously. Ian's classmates naturally discovered him. What a loud explosion, that person is amazing. Looks familiar. Hey, isn't that Ian from our class? Is he Ian? I'm going, really, I haven't seen you for more than half a month, and my temperament has changed so much. I thought he was so handsome before, but now I find his temperament is even more charming. Speaking of which, why did he run to open a new venue next door? Ian's classmates started talking. Especially some female classmates. Looking at Ian's eyes will eat people. Handsome and extraordinary, although Ian had a bad family before. But it's different now. Hey, it's not because someone is too arrogant and unwilling to communicate with others that he didn't invite him. As a result, I ran to the side to open a venue. Just say it if you want to attend a class party, you have to pretend to be arrogant. At this time, celebrities sneered. No wonder Ian went back to the next door, so you didn't invite others on purpose. Everyone is a classmate, isn't it disgusting for you to do this? I think someone is sour. I can't see others being more handsome than me, and I can't see others being better than me. A group of female students began to criticize. Ian is handsome and has a future. This is the golden turtle son-in-law. How could they naturally maintain Ian to increase their goodwill? The other boys also nodded. Although they are a bit sour Ian's looks and the strength he is showing now. But that person's actions also made them feel uncomfortable. We are all classmates, just say it directly if you don't like it. It's even playful. Am I jealous of him? How is that possible, and I'm much better than him? You must know that my symbiote is a demon bear. The boy snorted coldly. He was very good looking, but he was looked down upon by a group of girls. Especially compared to the poorest Ian in the class. He can't bear this. The more he thought about it, the more angry he came to Ian. Ian, how about we have a heads-up match? Whether you win or lose, I'll give you 50,000. How about it? The boy said proudly. He knew that Ian had no money. Saying this on purpose to get Ian to agree. As long as Ian agrees, he can take action against Ian and restore his reputation. The original plan was right. But, okay, I saw Ian nodded. The next second, a punch. The opponent didn't react yet, and was directly punched and flew out. Finally, he fell heavily in front of a group of classmates. When that one wakes up, tell him that 50,000 federal dollars don't need to be given to me, and let him take out the money to invite his classmates to dinner. And I didn't bother to say it originally. Since he has to disgust me, I won't hide it. He picked up a girl's NK at the time. Sneak peek. After being bumped into by me, he threatened me not to speak out. I agreed, but he still troubled me. This is unbearable. Ian said to the classmates in the class. Of course, what happened after that was made up by him. He also had a little impression of this guy. He was just a little guy who looked down on others. Because my family is poor, I always look down on myself. I didn't expect to deliberately disgust myself today. Ian thought about it for a while, but it wasn't enough relief to be knocked out. Might as well add some seasoning. After all, when he speaks at this time, most people believe him. I don't know if the other party will faint again in anger when he wakes up and finds that his reputation has been killed. Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 26. Chapter 26. The Worship of Girls, the training dummy is scrapped. Lu Hong is a bronze-level superhuman, but he was knocked out by a punch. Is this the point? I didn't expect Lu Hong to be a pervert. Although his cultivation base is also high, this kind of pervert should still have less contact. Yes, no matter how high a person's cultivation base is, it is useless if his character is not good. If this kind of person is placed on the endless battlefield, I'm afraid he will not become a traitor. A group of classmates expressed their contempt for Lu Hong. Hearing his classmates' words, Yian remembered that this person's name was Lu Honglai. By the way, Yian doesn't know what your symbiote is. You are so powerful, the symbiote must not be weak. Also, which school are you planning to go to? At this time, a group of female students gathered around and asked. See these ordinary-looking students. Yian just wanted to find an excuse to refuse. Just then, a voice sounded. Sorry, I'm late. You are so lively, what happened? Just when Yian and these female classmates were about to move. Not far away, a man walked slowly over. Beside him, two people followed. One of Yian's acquaintances was the classmate who had said 2 words to him at the door. Squad leader, you can count, it's like this. Someone immediately greeted them with a smile and explained the general process of the matter. I see. The monitor nodded after listening to the matter. Looking at Lu Hong, who was still in a coma, his eyes couldn't help but sink a bit. Then came to Yian again. Student Yian, you are going too far. Although Lu Hong took the initiative to challenge you, it's not appropriate for you to knock your classmates unconscious. Everyone is a classmate, it's really not right to compete with such a heavy hand. The squad leader looked at Yian and accused. He felt that no one was accusing Yian, they must be afraid of Yian's power. But he is not afraid. He is the only person in the school who has been admitted to 4 top schools. Need to be afraid of Yian. The extraordinary is to fight against the sky and the earth. I just knocked him out, and didn't do any actual damage. You have to come and accuse me of this matter. Are you looking down on Lu He's ambition? As an extraordinary person, do you think he will blame me for this setback? No, I think he has to thank me because I just knocked him out. Let him understand his own shortcomings. If it were an enemy, he would have lost his life. Yian sneered. Looking at the squad leader in front of him, he said. For this squad leader, he was absolutely impressed. Because I usually have nothing to do, I like to be ferocious in the class. If you don't know, you think it's an official. The result is just a class leader. Being questioned by Yian like this, the squad leader's face suddenly turned ugly. Unexpectedly, Yian dared to question and refute him like this. I know Lu Hong will definitely not blame you. But everyone is a classmate, so there is no need to make such a heavy hand. As the squad leader, However, before he could finish speaking, Yian interrupted impatiently. Since Lu Hong won't blame me, then what's your business? And here is the private venue I rented, you hurry up and get out of here. Forcing Lai again, I have the right to expel you by force. Yian said unceremoniously. There was a murderous intent in his eyes. Although he did not deliberately hone any killing intent. But he did kill people too. Recalling the feeling of killing, take another look. A faint killing intent emerged. As a newly awakened newcomer, there is no squad leader who has really fought with others. Immediately, Yian's eyes frightened and his legs softened. You wait. As the squad leader, he turned his head and left. Some are too embarrassing. Wanting to save face, he thought about his current strength is not enough. Yian can knock out Lu Hong with 1 punch, but basically he can't take 2 punches. Use identity pressure, but he is not really a student of a prestigious school. Just received the admission notice. And Yian doesn't necessarily eat this set. If he really angered him, he would lose face if he was knocked out by a punch. Moreover, Yian also warned him that the next time he does something, he will not violate the federal law. So in the end, I can only say one harsh word. With a wave of fear, he turned and left. Yian snorted coldly and turned on the protective shield directly. Isolate everyone. In fact, he has nothing to do with the people in the class. Largely because there are too many such idiots, he is out of tune. In the end, no one was too lazy to deal with it. Forget it, there's no need to get angry with the idiot and continue to practice. There was no systematic guidance last time, and the completion rate of Bajiquan reached 85%. Although this level is learned, it is not perfect. Thinking of this, Yian slowly punched again. He was going to finish practicing Bajiquan to 95% completion. As for the remaining 5%, that's a question of proficiency. It's hard to get too much improvement in a short period of time. And the completion degree of 95 is enough. In this way, every time Yian played a set of Bajiquan, he let the system point out the deficiencies. Back and forth a few times. Yian's completion rate reached 90%. On the 10th time, I finally reached the completion degree of 95. If there is no system, Yian at this time may feel that he can't improve at all. Although the system also pointed out deficiencies. However, he still couldn't master the use of some strength and subtle movement skills. Only by continuing to hone and make the body thoroughly familiar with the skills can it be refined again. Now you can try the specific power. The dummies for training have been sent here. Take a minute break. Yian turned to look at the 3 dummies. After connecting the dummy with the smart bracelet, Yian directly turned on the highest level of training mode. In this mode, the dummy's combat power is comparable to that of a high-rank bronze superhuman. In terms of defense, because the surface of the body is made of steel, it is even more powerful than ordinary silver superhumans. Therefore, for Yian, it can be used to test his own strength. Didi, training begins. Accompanied by the sound of the smart bracelet, the 3 training dummies immediately raised their heads and stared at Yian as if they had woken up. Immediately afterward, they attacked Yian in turn. Good come. Yian greeted him without fear. It collided with the first dummy that rushed up with a fist. Next moment, Yian and the dummy both took 2 steps back. At this time, the second dummy also rushed up. Yian did not catch his breath at all, and went up to meet him again. It was the same situation again, except that the second punch dummy took a few steps back. The third one next. Yian turned his head and looked at the third dummy who was sneaking around. Rush up again. The third punch, the fourth punch. In the fifth punch, a dummy was directly knocked to the ground. On the sixth punch, a dummy flew out. Seventh punch, a dummy's arm was removed directly. With the eighth punch, Yian hit the dummy's chest, and the fist penetrated directly. This dummy is scrapped without any suspense. There are 2 left. Yian took a deep breath and punched again. Although this is the 9th punch, the technique has reached its limit. Yian's power was no different from the 8th punch. That's it. After scrapping the second dummy, there was a burst of tearing pain from Yian's right hand. Enduring the pain, Yian threw the last punch. The third dummy, scrapped. Yian at this time also grinned in pain. He felt that the unicorn arm that he had finally exercised would be completely scrapped. But fortunately, it's just a bit of pain, and it's okay to endure it. After all, compared to when it devoured divinity, this was all pediatric. For him, even if his arm is gone, he can still be reborn. It just consumes a lot of spiritual energy. Asterisk. Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 27. Chapter 27. Dream World, rewrite the rules with dreams. Thank you for the reward. All, scrapped. Look at Yian's training results. The students in the class opened their eyes in surprise. This is a training dummy with a defensive power comparable to that of silver. In the end, let Yian's 3 punches directly kill him. It's been less than 20 days since we woke up, not a year. Classmate Yian, how can he be so powerful? Someone said in shock. Most of them are still running in the origin of symbiosis to avoid instability of the symbiosis. Yian was already tearing silver with his bare hands. The difference is too big. At this time, the squad leader was also shocked. Yian's talent, the 4 universities are definitely rushing for it. Instead of having a little achievement like him, and then dragging relationships everywhere to get in. He suddenly regretted offending Yian. He made Yian wait. What are you waiting for? Are you going to send your own head? He suddenly had the urge to admit his mistakes in the past. No, I was right. What about his high talent? I have also checked, and he has not been admitted to 4 prestigious schools. Even if you are talented and don't accept higher education, you will be overtaken by me sooner or later. Yes, I will definitely surpass him. The squad leader muttered to himself. Whatever he thinks, or what other students think. For Yian, it has nothing to do with him. The training dummies have all been scrapped. He's done training. There is no need to stay. So Yian just turned around and left. As for the wreckage of the dummy in one place, the staff immediately burst into tears when they saw it. Advanced training dummies can cost millions. If you rent it out, it will cost hundreds of thousands of dollars each time. Just because it is easily damaged during training. But it was the first time that it was scrapped so badly. It's just that Yian paid the money, even if it was scrapped. There is no problem in terms of strength. In the future, I will just show my great talent in martial arts in front of others. lest my symbiote ability be exposed too conspicuously. On the way home, Yian analyzed slowly. He wants to hide himself completely, and it is unrealistic to grow secretly. In a place like the academy, if you don't show your talent, you are doomed to not get better resources. So it's better to expose the irrelevant side. For example, martial arts. The world's view of martial arts is that it is easy to use in the early stage, but tasteless in the later stage. Because after the ability grows, it can be much more powerful than martial arts. So he showed his talent in martial arts. Not only is it justifiable and well-founded to win better rankings in various assessments, it will also make people feel that he is talented. But that's about it, only relying on martial skills, destined to have an upper limit for future achievements. By the way, can you deduce martial arts in the system? For example, this Bajikwan, deduced to Jujikwan, or more? Yian asked on a whim. Ding, this system can be deduced. However, each exercise has an upper limit of potential, and this system cannot achieve infinite deduction. It can only be deduced to the limit value of the current technique. The system also responded immediately. That's not bad. Yian nodded in satisfaction. Then let the system start playing. Ding, the deduction begins. This game is expected to take 1 hour, please wait patiently. Followed by system prompts. The game has officially started. Yian felt a little surprised. He remembered that when the system deduced its own symbiote, the system did not spend so much time. An hour doesn't seem slow. But for the performance of the system in the past, the time is still a bit long. Ding, the exercises are quite special, and the system will deduce the most suitable version based on the host's physique. And your symbiote is already the most suitable for you, so the efficiency of this system is improved countless times. At the same time, the deduction capability of this system is linked to the strength of the host. The more powerful the host, the faster this system will deduce. He sensed Yian's thoughts. The system also gives an explanation. So that's the case, then you can deduce it slowly. Yian suddenly realized, an hour is not too long anyway. He wanders outside a lot. This time passed in a blink of an eye. But think so, Yian didn't choose to wander outside. Instead, go home and sit on the bed, turn on the smart bracelet and surf the internet for recreation. After an hour, the system sounds again. Ding, the exercise, Bajikwan, is finished. The most suitable version has been selected for the host. This version can stack up to 18 punches in total, and the host's current physical strength can hit up to 10 punches. Attention! If you force the 11th punch, the host's arm will burst on the spot. Hear the system prompts. Yian subconsciously thought of a famous palm technique. Then he immediately decided to name his new boxing technique the 18 Fist of Subduing the Dragon. As for training, Yian doesn't have much thought now. The 8th punch was just enough for him. Even with a lot of use, the body can't bear it. Therefore, there is no need to rush to practice. Noon the next day, Yian hurried to the school gate. Yesterday, he thought to himself that he was not in a hurry to continue practicing. But in the end, he couldn't hold back and practice the 9th and 10th layers. Then his arm was scrapped unexpectedly. Can't even lift it up. So Yian spent the rest of the time repairing his arm. Plus the fatigue from training. It even made him sleep until noon. Fortunately, when he woke up, he found that there were still 10 minutes left before the agreed time with Lu Ruhua. So it came late. I thought you regretted it, but I didn't expect you to come here just in time. Lu Ruhua had been waiting at the door for a long time. Seeing Yian, he jokingly relieved. I was so fascinated by cultivation that I almost forgot about serious things. Yian smiled embarrassedly and explained. Lu Ruhua didn't say anything about it. Instead, he looked up at the sky. Seems to be waiting for something. Yian also raised his head suspiciously. Then I saw a very sci-fi aircraft descending quickly. Finally, it landed smoothly on the ground. Come on, let's go. Lu Ruhua opened the aircraft and said. Yian nodded and followed suit. Sit tight. With Lu Ruhua's voice falling, the aircraft instantly burst into a terrifying speed. In the blink of an eye, Yian realized that he had already entered outer space. There is absolutely no feeling to this process. Before Yian could enjoy the view of outer space, the aircraft then emitted a special light, which directly opened a void crack and drilled in. Is this the illusory realm? After entering the void rift, Yi An's eyes were immediately replaced by an illusory scene. At the same time, the symbiote also felt a sense of joy as if returning home. This made him think that he had come to the illusory realm. It is the dream spirit world, which belongs to the spiritual plane. The words of the illusory spirit world are on another plane, and it is more mysterious than the dream spirit world. Lu Ruhua explained. Then why do we come to the dream spirit realm? Hear Lu Ruhua's explanation. Yi An also understood why he was here, and his own symbiote also reflected. The own symbiote has spiritual properties. The dream world belongs to the spiritual plane. Because humans can dream, it is easy to change the laws of the dream world. We actually followed the route, and this route was opened up by an almighty with his own dream. If it weren't for her, with this aircraft, it would take at least 30 years to reach Tiangong Academy. But the almighty changed some of the rules of this route so that we can cover the 30-year journey in just 3 hours. Lu Ruhua explained. At the same time, there was a hint of admiration in his eyes. Rewrite the laws of planes with dreams. Realize this. A look of surprise and shock appeared on Yi An's face. He knows that the powerhouse of the human race is very powerful. For example, those god-level existences can crush a planet the size of an ancestor star with one hand. But I didn't expect to be powerful enough to rewrite the laws of the plane at will. It can even be said that this ability is far beyond his imagination. Asterisk. Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 28. Chapter 28. Arriving at Tiangong Academy, the brain circuit of the woman in black. 3 hours passed quickly. Yi An was still reluctant to leave until he left the dream spirit realm. Let's not talk about the reason for the symbiosis. Just the sight of the dream world made Yi An linger. Because it is so beautiful. And there are countless strange creatures in the dream world. Some creatures are even powerful enough to feel suffocated at the first glance. Yi An was also very puzzled about this. Why don't so many powerful creatures attack them? Lu Ruhua also gave him a brief explanation. Countless years ago, there was a senior in the human race who killed half of the dream spirit realm. Therefore, the creatures in the dream world have not dared to take the initiative to provoke human beings. The scope we are in now is Tiangong Academy. Just when Yi An recalled the scenery of the dream world, Lu Ruhua pointed to a small galaxy in front of her and said, "This largest planet is where the main body of Tiangong Academy is located. As for the other planets, too many, I won't say. In short, each has its own role." Hear Lu Ruhua's words. Yi An also nodded, and there was a look of anticipation in his heart. An academy directly occupies a galaxy. This shows how powerful Tiangong Academy is. If you choose to join, it's definitely worth it. After a minute, the aircraft slowly landed on the main planet of Tiangong Academy. Yi An was also pulled by Lu Ruhua to an old man. "Lu girl, you are here today, it seems that this year is really lively." The old man looked at Lu Ruhua and said with a smile. Then his eyes turned to Yi An again, and he continued. "This is the student you chose. Silver level, really talented. But the breath is a little vain, don't just think about upgrading." The old man looked at Yi An and warned. Yi An didn't expect his cultivation to be seen through so easily. So he nodded stiffly. However, he did not take this sentence to heart, but thought about how he could better hide his cultivation in the future. His breath is vain, because repairing his arm has caused too much spiritual power consumption in the body. It has never been supplemented, so this is the case. Although there are still some crystal cores in his hand, he is prepared to keep them in case of emergency. The spiritual power in the body should be restored slowly first. No more swallowing the nucleus. Well, the name is Yi An, right? I have all the information, such as identity and background, here. The only thing missing is the information about the symbiote. The old man glanced at Lu Ruhua, who shook his head slightly. So the old man's eyes were on Yi An again. "Ah, can you not say it?" Yi An immediately understood what the other party meant. Then he was given a faint look at him. "With a symbiote of your level, what secrets can there be? Don't be afraid even if it's too special, we are a serious school." The old man said dissatisfiedly. "Cough, I'll just say it casually. It's just that my symbiote is a little sloppy." Yi An said with an embarrassed expression on purpose. He knew that his symbiote could not be kept completely secret either. As a result, a white mycelium was born directly. This is my symbiote, and it's tough enough. The main reason is that after I awakened the symbiote, I always wanted to tie something up. Especially people. The point is, tactile. Yian said embarrassedly. When Lu Ruhua on the side heard it, she spit it out. On the contrary, the serious-looking old man showed a look that I understand. Cough, your symbiote is actually quite good. It can be played after it is developed. It can be used to explore unknown areas. That's not right, it should be said that it is used to detect the terrain. Forget it, the more you talk about it, the more chaotic it is. I have recorded your symbiote characteristics, do you have a name? The old man said with a smile. No, it may be that I don't fit enough with the symbiote. Yian shook his head and said, Hey, then I'll give you a name. It turned out to be white, like silk threads. Plant symbiote, white silk. The old man wrote the name directly on the file. Finally, with a satisfied smile, he patted Yian on the shoulder. Come on young people, don't die in the assessment next time. The old man said as if he was a confidant in previous years. Yian also smiled awkwardly. This day, Tiangong Academy, he suddenly felt a little less serious. Cough, Elder Wang, we will go first. Lu Ruhua said with a cough. Yian also immediately understood why this man was disrespectful to the old man. Emotion is the king. Go go. Girl Mo is also inside, just don't fight. Old Wang Zhang waved his hand and said. Lu Ruhua nodded. Farewell to Elder Wang. Yian followed Lu Ruhua to a light blue corrugated door. Just take out your ID card and go in. Lu Ruhua reminded. Yian nodded and took out the ID card. Go straight to the blue corrugated door. When he passed through the door, he suddenly found that the card in his hand was gone. The card is recycled, and your identity is recorded, so you won't need an ID card in the future. Just like me, you can come in directly. Lu Ruhua said. Yian nodded again, continued to follow Lu Ruhua. Yet it didn't take long. A terrifying coercion struck directly. Lu Ruhua waved her hands very calmly, dispelling the pressure. It seems to be already prepared. Bitch, didn't you say there is no choice? I didn't expect you to lie to me. At this moment, an angry shout sounded. One was wearing a black dress with a heavy load in front of him. And the appearance is not inferior to the picturesque woman Lulu. He slashed directly with the spiritual power sword. It's not that someone is too deceitful, so he just told his apprentices information one by one. Lu Ruhua remained unhurried. It also uses spiritual power to create a huge shield that easily blocks the attack. Seeing this, the woman in black will continue to do it. Then a dissatisfied voice sounded. Enough, the two of you are going to fight, don't embarrass me here. Hear this voice. The woman in black immediately gave up the idea of hands-on. After glancing at Lu Ruhua, he turned to look at Yian again. Then continued to rage. Okay, you bitch, deliberately looking for such a handsome apprentice. Did you know that my apprentice is beautiful, so I deliberately found a handsome guy to kidnap her? The woman in black cursed angrily. Hearing this sentence, Yian was stunned for a moment. Good guy, this woman's way of thinking is really unusual. But according to the conversation between the two, Yian also guessed the identity of the other party. If nothing else, it must be the teacher of Avril Lavigne, who is second in the standings. After all, the information Lu Ruhua gave him was Avril's most detailed. As for letting him hook up with Avril, Lu Ruhua definitely didn't think so. But Yian did have this idea in his heart. There is no reason for him. This Avril is really beautiful, and the symbiote is still a mythical creature, an angel. Therefore, it adds a sacred, noble and mysterious temperament. Of course it's just a thought. For Yian, cultivation is more important. When he is strong, how can he use Avril to hook up? Just run to the angel clan and grab a group of angels to be maids. Asterisk. Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 29. Chapter 29. Junior Sister Avril, Lu Ruhua and #039, S exhortation. Continued to make noise for a while. Yian also completely knew the identity of the other party. She and her teacher are the apprentices of a certain boss, and they are the same disciples and sisters. The name is Mo Luli. More than 10 years ago, because of a fight with my teacher, there was a lot of movement, so he was fined and sealed Shuwei to go to Zuxing to stay. If you want to come back, you have to choose a genius disciple. Of course, the selected disciples must pass the assessment of Tiangong Academy. The reason for such punishment is because the two of them back then were too noisy. Their master was afraid that the two would suddenly die that day, and that people in this line would have no heirs at all. By the way, let them go to Zuxing to stay honestly, and they can be quiet for a few years. So Lu Ruhua chose to become a teacher. Wait patiently for a genius who can pass the examination of Tiangong Academy to appear. Until he met himself. As for Mo Luli, Quan Zuxing was running around everywhere. I finally got a student this year. And this student did not expect, and successfully completed the original symbiosis with the mythical creature, the angel. And when the newcomer is experienced, the performance is also very good. Passing the examination is basically no problem. After the two finally settled down, Yian was also taken to a room for tea. Then the two of them left suddenly for no apparent reason. Not long after, a girl the same age as Yian walked in. Hello, you are senior brother Yian, Lu Shibo's student, right? I think you should have known me from Uncle Lu. Avril came to Yian and took the initiative to say hello. The noble temperament revealed in the gestures. At first glance, she is the eldest lady of the aristocratic family of the Western Federation. Junior sister Avril, nice to meet you. Yian also stood up and replied politely. See Yian's reaction. Avril first showed a bright and happy smile. Then he showed a pitiful gesture. Senior brother Yian, I think you understand what happened to Master and the others. Master and Uncle are just joking around, don't take it seriously and bully me on purpose. Avril said with a pitiful look. No malicious selling of cuteness. Yian groaned inwardly. Then I suddenly smelled the smell of green tea. And it's pretty thick. My junior sister, shouldn't she just look serious? Cough cough. Don't worry, junior sister, senior brother is not a fool. Yian replied with a different tone. Well, brother, I'm relieved to say that. Avril also kept a smile without embarrassment, continuing at the same time. Also, the master told me. This assessment has been decided. The content of this assessment is to survive in the assessment site for a month. There are many silver-level magical beasts in it, but the Academy has also placed treasure chest rewards everywhere. But the best time items are placed in the central area. When the assessment begins, how about we work together, brother? After Yian heard it, he nodded directly in agreement. Although this junior sister smelled like tea, her strength was not fake. There are hundreds of millions of newcomers, and she ranks second in points. This power does not need to be explained at all. Being with her makes it easy for me to hide myself. Then I'm looking forward to joining hands with you, senior brother. We will get 5 points for the baby we will get, and I will definitely not take advantage of junior sister. Senior brother, you definitely won't take advantage of my junior sister, right? Avril asked with a serious look. Yian nodded slightly. At the same time, I regretted my decision just now. This sister is strong and powerful, but the green tea flavor is a bit strong. I'm afraid it wasn't cultivated in the big family that has been intriguing. It's always better to stay away. Since that's the case, senior brother should talk about his symbiote and ability. My senior brother must have all the information. If we both know each other's situation, we will cooperate better. Avril asked again. Yian smiled slightly when he heard it, and directly hooked one of the hyphae that quickly grew beside Avril. This is my symbiote. I don't have a specific name, but an elder named Wang just now named me Bicey. The ability is nothing special, just good at bundling. Junior sister, would you like to test the strength of my symbiote ability? By the way, my symbiote, everyone has a touch. Touching something is the same as my hand touches it. Is it great? Yian said with a deliberate smile. At the same time, these white hyphae kept moving towards Avril. It seemed like she was going to be tied up in the next moment. Seeing this, Avril's face suddenly changed. If only simply tied. She had the confidence to break free. But this thing, everyone has a feel. It was like Yian tied her up with his own hands. It's not a question of whether you can break free. Senior brother is joking. Junior sister, I have other things, so I won't accompany me for the time being. Avril hurriedly left. Yian showed a victorious smile. Just doing this, I still want to fight with myself. How could it be possible to get out of your own secrets without making some sacrifices? Not long after Avril left, Lu Ruhua returned to the room again. It's just that Yian's eyes became a little weird. There is plenty of spiritual power here, you should take the time to adjust your state. The assessment will begin in an hour. You hold this ring. If there is an accident in the assessment, you can activate it and exit. Lu Ruhua said, and he threw a ring to Yian. So fast. We've only just been here for 2 hours. Yian showed a surprised expression. Because I also came here at the right time. Lu Ruhua smiled and explained. All right. Yian shrugged helplessly. He thought it would only start tomorrow. At the same time, I also admire myself as a teacher. Such important things come in a hurry. I'm not afraid of any unexpected delays on the way. By the way, although your junior sister may have some problems with her personality. But it's your junior sister after all. During the assessment, if she encounters a problem, please help if she can. Actually, your Master Mo was like that back then, but it was fine later. Well, it's not much better now. Lu Ruhua wanted to give an example. But halfway through, I gave up. She really can't talk nonsense with her eyes open. Of course you keep the good things yourself, there is no need to give them to her. As long as you help her within the scope of your ability, so that she will not fail the assessment. Although in her situation, there is a high probability that nothing will happen. Lu Ruhua continued. Yian nodded. He can still tell the difference between right and wrong. After all, she is the same junior sister, although she is a bitch. But you can bully yourself. There's no need to overdo it, or to die. Then Lu Ruhua continued to explain a few words, then got up and left, letting Yian concentrate on adjusting her state. At the same time, in another room, Mo Luli is also explaining something to Avril. Although your senior brother behaved badly, it's actually quite good compared to your uncle. And I'm joking with you. You don't need to hold grudges too much. Although your senior brother's level is silver, it is estimated that your senior uncle used spiritual power to induce it. The symbiote and ability are more inclined to the auxiliary type, so in actual combat, it may be like that. If he is really in trouble, you can help as much as you can, and try your best to ensure that he can pass the assessment. Although I want your uncle to stay in Zuxing, he is my nephew after all, and I can't bear to see him die. And he looks so handsome. Cough. In short, you can control your own proportions. As for the good things, don't give them away, just keep them for yourself. Understand? Understood. Avril nodded obediently. Of course she got it. As long as Yian can pass the examination, it will be fine. So it doesn't matter how you pass. In this case, how should I bully this senior brother? Looking forward to it. Asterisk. Symbiotic Spores. Hundreds of millions of deductions, infinite evolution. 30. Chapter 30. The assessment begins, the lumberjack Yian. After an hour, the examination is officially open. During this period, Yian also understood the specific rules. Self-organization is allowed during the assessment. But when entering the assessment map, everyone is scattered. So if you want to form a team, you have to find talent inside. But the academy elder who presided over the assessment deliberately hinted. That is, this assessment allows teams to be formed, and it is also allowed to fight with each other. Even, life and death. This made many people who wanted to go in and pull people to form a team suddenly tensed. I don't feel at ease with going out to meet strangers. Yian's face was as usual. For him, it can be used against other people who are assessing. Even under the killer behavior in his favor. Of course Yian wouldn't be foolish enough to believe that he could really kill someone. After all, the human race stands still in the battlefields of the heavens, and even ranks among the best. In addition to strong strength, it depends on enough unity. The academy encourages the students in the assessment to kill each other, and the high probability is also a test. If there are students who really want to do this, then the consequences. Needless to say. Of course fighting with each other is certainly allowed. There is no doubt about that. The birth point is good, but I don't know if most environments are like this. The light of the teleportation array dissipated. Yian's figure appeared in a forest. Then he looked up at the sky through the gap in the treetops. Yian knew that there were countless teachers and students, as well as invited guests, who were watching this assessment. Let's be a little more subtle. Yian muttered inwardly. Then went to a grassy area. Then he looked around, as if looking for directions. In the audience, Lu Ruhua, who had been staring at Yian's actions, didn't notice it. After Yian left, white mycelium grew rapidly in the grass, and at the same time, it drilled into the soil and spread to the surroundings. Tisk tisk, what a pity. Your precious apprentice was actually sent to the most dangerous forest. My Avril, in the desert at this time, your apprentice is going to be in danger, don't blame her for not helping. Mo Luli looked at the big screen. Yian's exclusive column of small pictures said, "Don't worry, my apprentice is a plant symbiont, which is more suitable for forests. It's the one from your family, don't die of thirst in the desert." Lu Ru retorted without changing the picture. HMPH, wait, there are times when your apprentice is crying. Mo Luli knew that she couldn't speak to this world. So he snorted coldly and stopped paying attention to Lu Ruhua. Listen to your sister-in-law. Although Lu Ruhua's face was calm, her heart began to worry. She knew this place of experience. The most dangerous area, except for the volcano in the center of the map. It's the forest. However, just when she was guessing what Yian would do next. I saw Yian turned on the smart bracelet's weapon form and turned into an axe. Then there is the tree cut. Cut down trees. Cut down trees. Soon, Yian cut down a large number of trees. At this time, many people also paid attention to Yian's strange behavior. Because everyone else is cautiously exploring, Yian alone cut down trees. Very strange behavior, very noticeable. This young man is interesting. During the assessment, he cut down trees gracefully. In the audience, in a seat on a vantage point, an old man said with a smile, "Can sit in a high position. Identity is not ordinary. And he is also the dean of this Tiangong Academy. Incumbent management of this college has more than 1,000 years. In the entire extraordinary world, it is absolutely highly respected. At the same time, he is also extremely powerful. However, no one knows exactly what the realm is. Some people even suspect that the old dean has reached the realm of gods. Just can't verify. Xiaoyan, what do you think of this young man?" The old dean turned to look at the strong man beside him and said, "I don't know, but at least my Yanyang guild won't want such a stupid bird." The strong man who was turned into Xiaoyan by the old dean shook his head and said not to know, but in fact, he was already looking down on Yian. "I think it's better than cutting down trees. It might be quicker to set fire." Of course he probably didn't think that way. At this time, a woman near the strong man said. Her first reaction was that Yian wanted to clear the forest. But think about it, there are people who are so mentally retarded. During the assessment, trying to chop down the forest with an axe. Then continue to take a look. Young people nowadays are really getting more and more interesting. The old dean smiled and said, "Yes." The two also respectfully looked at the old dean and nodded. Then continued to watch the game. At this time, another auditorium. Looking at Yian's strange behavior, Mo Luli laughed until the white rabbit jumped around. "You stupid apprentice, don't you think the forest is too dangerous and want to chop down all the trees?" Mo Luli said gloatingly. Lu Ruhua glared at her, but said nothing. Started to wonder why Yian did this. She didn't believe that Yian would be so brainless that he would chop down the forest. After all, she had brought students for a year, and she still knew very well whether Yian had any problems with her mind. Almost. In the examination area, Yian looked at the fallen trees and said. He then gave up cutting trees. Start cleaning up the cut branches. That's it. While others struggled to explore the map. There were even some lucky ones who found out. Yian unhurriedly cut out log after log. Finally, clear out a piece of ground, carry the wood and start building the house. No, for such an important assessment, he chose to build a house. Survival for a month is not for him to live for a month, this young man is here on vacation. And this house is really not small. Damn, it's also a 2-story building. I have studied the players on the standings, but I have never met this person. So, which monkey recommended this to be funny? Ha ha ha, don't care which one, let me laugh for a while. Ha ha, the thinking of young people today is really strange. Let's not talk about his behavior, at least the house is really beautiful, and it actually looks like Chonglo Yuyu is built with wood. As long as this student doesn't die, even if he fails the assessment, my construction team will be specially recruited. The construction team of your school also came to watch the game. The project of Qingyang Star next door has been solved. Quote. Watching Yi An's strange behavior. Some people in the audience were laughing, and some were silently holding their foreheads. As for the ink glass, at this time, his whole body twitched with laughter. She wanted to ridicule Lu Ruhua, but she couldn't speak because she laughed too happily. However, Lu Ruhua was thoughtful. Yi An behaved strangely when he was a newcomer. The first 5 days are motionless. Occasionally traveled long distances in the back, but always avoided fighting. This results in a very poor score. But after Yi An came out, his cultivation level was raised to the silver level. Other people, even if Zhao Long's score is high, his cultivation level after coming out is only intermediate bronze. So Lu Ruhua was always curious about what Yi An did. Now it seems that through this assessment, I can find the answer. It's just that she's curious. Yi An is even meditating on the spot. No need to build a house. They are all silver-level superhumans. Ordinary wind and rain will not affect him at all. Defend against monsters, less likely. These are just ordinary wood, and there are many silver-level monsters in the forest. The wood can be smashed into pieces with a slap.